What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk. And there's something about the underdog. Today we have an IFB professional and model. I didn't even know those two could be in the same sentence. You guys see him beanie on, an absolute beast, the one and only Mr. Frank McGrath. What is up, sir? How you doing today, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? I'm doing good, man. Just got back from the gym, and appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thank you for coming on. And I got to ask, what did you hit today? Was it arm day?
Uh, not every day's arm day. Today was chest and shoulders.
Chest and shoulders. That's a bold combo. I got to start trying the combos, man. I'm just doing
Yeah,
the
man.
one.
You know what? It's like I don't go to the gym as much, just because of business and work and all that kind of stuff. So it's trying to get all the same workouts in less time. You know what I mean?
I do just do arm day every day. So I actually really don't know what you're talking about, Frank. And, you, sir, are actually the first person I get to ask after the Arnold. What were your thoughts on the open placings? Frank, what did you think about the show that these gentlemen brought?
I think it was pretty bang on. The placings were really good. Um, Samson was just unbelievable, man. Like that physique is just. I think he won mostly because the shape. He has a symmetry and a shape. Um, like Nick is amazing, but he just structurally not as good as Samson. You know what I mean? So I think the placing was pretty bang on.
And I agree. I think
Yeah,
Samson deserved. I think he deserved higher in the Olympia. But who am I?
yeah,
Also everyone on that stage brought it. But
yeah.
obviously those top three, Andrew, Nick, and Samson.
I even thought Rami looked pretty good, but I don't know what everybody was talking about. Said he was off, but like I didn't see that he was off. But that was just me. I don't know.
I think people are thinking he's off from his champion caliber. I feel like
Yeah,
people are comparing Big Ramy to his 2 years of greatness, where he's
yeah,
fallen slightly back, so he's not as good. But obviously, every year, he brings a mass we haven't seen too much in the sport.
yeah.
Obviously, now I want to look at your story, Frank, and to me, it's one of fucking adversity, and specifically your car accident in 2010.
Hmm.
Where you suffered. You talk about a collapsed lung, 3 liters of blood lost, and skin torn. You know, I don't think I can fully understand, or many can fully understand that nightmare that you went through. Would you mind talking about this event a little more, and the man it created out of it? Because I do believe that not everything happens for a reason, but we come out of stuff that doesn't kill us
I
stronger.
agree. I agree. You know what? It's funny because at the time that it happened, I was mad at the world and why me? Like, what? Why am I so unlucky for this to happen to me? Because like I was getting ready for a pro show at the time. I was like 270. I was pretty big, and I was on the way home from the gym, and I just happened some guy had a seizure while he was driving and T-boned me, and I had to be taken out of the car with the jaws of life. And the weird thing is I never like passed out, nothing. I was awake the whole time, and it took me in the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. I got to the hospital and I found out that I had my spleen was severed in half, collapsed lung, tore my left shoulder and tricep, which I didn't find out until way later on, which didn't matter because that's not keep you alive, but it's not that important, right, to them. And like the skin on my left arm was just ripped off. Like it wasn't cut open, it was just ripped off. So I spent a month in the hospital. And even when I was going through that, me and the girl I was seeing at the time just broke up like maybe a week before that. And she already had a new boyfriend. So I was going through two things at one time. So I was like, and none of my friends came to visit me. The only person that really came was my sister and one friend. So I spent a month in the hospital by myself. And so when I actually even the doctors told me that I would never be able to do bodybuilding again. And that I would need a year to recover from all these injuries. And so then I went back home after a month and I spent another 6 weeks just laying in bed because I couldn't really do much. And finally just said I had enough. I can't lay here for another, 7, 8, 9 months. I can't do it, right? So I forced myself to get up, and the first thing I did was I just started going for walks. That was my workout. Then I went to the gym for the first time, and 20-pound dumbbell curls was a struggle for me. I could barely do it. I remember being there, and I was like crying right in the middle of my workout because I was so upset that like this is what I was. And I went down to like I think I was like 185. And I wish I had some pictures of. I think I have pictures somewhere. I had to find them of how skinny I was, and I just took every day one step at a time. And then I finally got to a point. I was like, man, I'm starting to feel like I'm getting back. Like I was 230, gaining some weight. I was like, maybe I'll give this a shot. You know what I mean? And I worked with Hani Rambat actually with that when I did my first show back. And I sent him pictures of myself, and he told me that I wasn't ready. He said, you need a whole year. And I said, well, I have 3 months. And I said, okay, let's go. And every time he asked me about like, I need to, he told me what he wanted me to take and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I don't have this. I don't have that. I can't afford that. And so he's like, well, you're going to be a very big disadvantage. He said, you have no off season. You're coming back from a huge injury. You're not taking what everybody else is taking. And I was like, well, I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes. And I ended up placing 4th. And then a week later, I placed 3rd at Tampa Pro, and I qualified for Olympia. So it worked out.
And fuck, Frank, I can barely lift 20 pounds now. So, I mean, and obviously, yes, in the 2011 IFBB Tampa Pro Open, you got 3rd.
Yeah.
And I mean, I sit here flabbergasted because I don't think many people understand the prep that it takes to do a show, to do an open show at one of the highest levels, obviously, the esteemed Tampa Pro. And, I'm a firm believer that tough shit makes us who we are now. I mean, were there times like where it felt this was it? I can't do it much longer. And then how did you get out of this negative mindset and start going to the gym every day and just becoming the beast you are now?
That's because I could tell you every day I went to the gym for the first few months. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. It was just that it sucked. Like, I don't know if you ever take any time off from the gym, and when you first go back, it even feels like your body's not connecting at all. Like you're squeezing and nothing's happening. So imagine going that long and losing that much. I mean, I almost lost 100 pounds. But I was determined that I knew, this is something I've been doing almost my whole life, and I can't live without it. You know what I mean? So I wasn't even thinking about competing. I was like, I just want to be able to train. That's all I wanted, and be able to go to the gym. And, I was 30, 32, 33. And I guess I just had a point when I was like, I want to see what I had left in me. Do I have anything left in me? Is there anything left in the tank? And I said, fuck it. I'm just going to see what happens. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I get last place or something. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like a top pro or anything already. So I wasn't like someone who placed high at shows. So I was like, what's the big deal? Right. And, I just went in there with the attitude that I was, not to use your name of your podcast, but I felt like I was the underdog. So I was like, I'm have so many things against me, but for some reason it just makes me train harder. It made me do the cardio harder. I did my diet harder. I just did everything to 100% of my ability at the time, anything I could do. And luckily I have I have a pretty good structure, and I can get pretty lean easier than some people, I think. So I just brought condition to that show, and I was only weighed 230 pounds, and I'm like 5'11", 6 foot. So I wasn't by far the biggest guy on stage. And, I was competing against like Brandon Curry. Who else was on stage that year? I can't remember, but some big names. There was big name guys there, right? Oh God, I can't remember names now. It was a while ago.
Who I think was there.
God, what's his name? Anyway, there's guys who they're Olympians. They're guys who were Olympians. And, I don't know. I just, sometimes I tell myself, am I stupid or am I just stubborn? I don't know which one it is. You know what I mean? To keep putting myself through this punishment. Even like now, I still keep going as hard as I possibly can, and people think I'm crazy. But, when you, like I said, like Ronnie Coleman says it, when you have love for something, there's nothing you won't do to do it. You know what I mean? So you have to really love it, because I think too many people are into this now, the bodybuilding and the social media, because it gets them money, fame, girls, likes and comments. I mean, that stuff's great. Like I like that stuff too. But at the end of the day, I do this for me. I just because it makes me feel good. I love it. You know what I mean? And I think the love for this sport is not the same as it used to be. Now it's all for what I can put online. You know what I mean? So, you know.
And I think a reason that you stand out besides your fucking hard work ethic, I mean, that oftentimes, unfortunately, we don't see as much in bodybuilding. We don't see the old school kind of bodybuilding, just fucking having fun in the gym, grinding,
Yeah.
is your adversity. I mean, people look up to you now. And obviously, you learned so much through that adversity. What was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself, Frank, in these weeks, months after that car crash, sir?
You know, when they say that's it might say it was strange to say, but like that saying, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I never understood it because I was like, I'm not stronger. Physically, I wasn't stronger, but I finally figured out that it just makes you mentally stronger. Like I can take a lot. Like I never thought I could, but sometimes you have no choice but to, you know, it's either die or go forward. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but I can't eke my way through life. You know what I mean? I understand why some people, like some of the greatest bodybuilders in the world, once they can't be their best ever anymore, they're done. They don't even want to go train. They just let it all go to shit. And I understand, but I can't do that because if I can only give after my car accident, if I only have 70% left because I'm hurt and my body's beat up or whatever, no. I want to utilize 100% of that 70%. That's just my mentality. I don't know. It's like if you have a car and you get a flat tire, you're gonna throw the whole car away. I'm not. I'm gonna just, you know, change the tire. But like it's like I tore my tricep and I was like, okay. I actually went to a friend of mine who was like a mental coach, and he's like, I was so down because my body wasn't as good as it was before because I tore this and injured that and stuff. He's like, yeah, but you still have 2 legs, you have 2 arms, you have a chest, you have a back. He says, why don't you just make those as good as you possibly can? Like you're gonna throw the whole thing away just because you have one thing that's not there? And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. And then you know who Chris Dim is?
I don't.
Chris Dim is an IFBB Pro, competed like the 2000s. And he had like some surgery or something, and now he's like paralyzed from the waist down. And he still trains every day. He's in amazing shape. He did the wheelchair Olympics or something, Mr.Olympia or something like that. And the guy's he never complains, never nothing. He can't walk. So I'm like, what's my excuse? I always look at people who are worse than me and think about like, if I told them my problems, they would probably laugh at me and say, that's all you got? So I'm like, how can I, you know, not be even still grateful for what I still have? I'm still breathing. I'm still making money. I'm still have a place to live. I'm still able to train. You know what I mean? I do have my days. Trust me. Like I'm a human being. I get down and go, like, you know, I miss the being that strong and that big and the competing, but like, I'll never stop, man. It's not in me to quit. I don't have it in me.
And I mean, that perspective is superior. I mean, when you are in those moments of adversity, I mean, it's almost like you've got to think of everything that you are blessed. And I think you actually forgot to mention those forearms in that list of body parts. And obviously, you know, in my mind comes to Flex Wheeler. Obviously, yeah. I mean, we see this man training, and he has 2 legs. He doesn't even have 2 legs, and yet he's one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time who never stopped giving it his all. And there's a reason he was one of the greats. And obviously, when we had Flex on the podcast, he talks about he had adverse moments that he grinded through. And like you mentioned, Frank, Flex did the same thing. It's only going to kill you, or you're going to come out stronger. I mean, there's no other answers. And obviously, you know, I don't know if you've ever looked up who has the biggest forearms, because I actually looked it up. And now that little fucker, Lee Priest, is actually on the thing that comes up. But you have 18.5 inches and Lee has 18. So my quarrel is with Google that when you look that up, Lee should not be the one appearing. It should be you, sir. So I actually am genuinely interested. Were these forearms something that you've been genetically just kind of gifted, or is this something that you actually do train frequently?
You know what, too? This is what I tell people all the time, too, because that was 18 and a half inches contest time.
Oh,
So, and I've never measured in the offseason. I'm thinking it might have been even 19. Because, like, contest time, you're obviously a little bit smaller, right? So they may have been 19 inches. Who knows? You know what I mean? And I didn't even really realize it until I got like a little bit older, because when I was younger, I had big forearms too, but I just didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Because I'm from Newfoundland. Now, if you know where Newfoundland is in Canada, it's a very small place. Bodybuilding was not very big out there. We had no gyms, no nothing. So I was just in my basement doing my plastic weights with my dad's old weights. But I remember when I was in high school, I would do forearms every single day before school, just because I wanted to have a pump when I got to school. So, it'd be like 7:30 in the morning. I'm downstairs in the basement doing like wrist curls, and I'd go with a pump. But my dad also had really big forearms, so I definitely got it from him. Definitely got it from my dad.
it's a mixture of that. Then,
Yeah.
and now obviously, Frank, you've appeared in numerous campaigns, possibly due to your fucking big ass forearms, and obviously you've been in Muscle and Fitness, Flex Magazine, Men's Health and Men's Fitness, Sports Illustrated, among others. So how hard was it to be a model and a bodybuilder? I mean, what was the balance like going into that, Frank?
You know what? It wasn't that hard because, well, I wasn't. I was a shy kid growing up. So once you are like put in the spotlight, you kind of don't know what to do. You're kind of forced to, then you got to speak in front of people. I know for a long time I was just a pitcher. No one even knew how to speak. They didn't know my name. But once, like, go to the big shows and you go to the Arnold Classic and Olympia, and we used to go to the booths there, and they want me to talk in front of thousands of people, and I'm like, I was scared to death, man. But it's just like anything else. You just get used to it, and now it's just like anything else. It's just like a normal thing for me. But I remember the first photo shoot I ever did was in Gold's Gym. I think I was 23, and I had to wear like spandex shorts or something and like a tank top. And I'm like, this is not me. I felt so uncomfortable and I didn't realize that that's something that's normal, that happens there all the time. It was like my first time ever in like the States too. You know what I mean? And I was at Gold's Gym, and I was kind of embarrassed, but like, and sometimes I felt like, I know it sounds funny, but like I do these photo shoots sometimes and I'm like, oh man, I look so bad. I'm not in shape. I'm not in this. Cause I was always my worst critic. I was always like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. My buddy, I had a friend of me who was out there for a lot of them. He's like, dude, you look really good. Don't worry. And then I look at the pictures later, and I look at the pictures now. I'm like, fuck, what was I worried about? I looked great, man. I was big. I was ripped. I had veins everywhere. But it's definitely something that's strange if you're not used to it, because I was not used to that kind of stuff. It was just something you just had to get used to, the only thing I regret, though, I wish I had done more. That's the way I think everybody says. I wish I'd done more. Like Ronnie Coleman says, he had done more reps with that squat he did. So,
Damn right. And
yeah,
I just think it's important, obviously, to realize kind of when you're in those moments, and specifically bodybuilders too, that body dysmorphia is a fucking nightmare.
100%. I agree
It's
with you.
such an underrated topic, unfortunately. I think the thing is, when you're in those moments, it's gonna fucking feel like a nightmare, honestly, that you're not big enough in that mirror. And I mean, it's harder said than done, or easier said than done, but compare yourself to the day before, or fuck it, compare yourself to when you fucking started. I mean, that is the one thing these bodybuilders have constantly told me that helps to a point, because I mean, we're going to be our worst critics, obviously. And Frank, I think you probably look fucking massive. But in your mind, obviously, those forearms were 18 inches, not the 19 inches like normal. But obviously, you gotta go for the right reasons,
Yeah.
obviously. And Frank, I have to ask, because you've really seen it all in the bodybuilding world and fitness world as well. What is your biggest tip for someone who is looking to get into the bodybuilding industry like you once were, sir?
The biggest tip. I think, part of it, I didn't really believe in myself. I never thought I was good enough. You know what I mean? Like, I remember even when I did my first pro show, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm like, I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I was whatever. And then I remember after I did my first pro show, they wrote about it in the magazine. And it was this big article about me that I was this new phenom, this and that. I was like, what was I worried about? Like, why was I so acting like I wasn't good enough? You need to believe in yourself, but then you don't want to be too cocky at the same time and think you're too good, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I just believe in that you can do. If you really want something, you can go get it. You know what I mean? Like, what are the chances of me being where I'm from? Like, I'm from the middle of nowhere, the smallest town you could probably imagine. No gym. I don't even have a gym where I'm from. Like, and I became, you know, one of the, you know, a very, very popular bodybuilder when I was competing, and even still now a bit, from nowhere. So it's like, don't believe that you can't do something just because I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have the equipment. I didn't have anything, and I still did it. You know what I mean? So I think just believing in yourself and believing if you really want something, go after it, man. I can't tell anybody. I don't care how bad someone looks. If they tell me they want something, I'm like, man, you can do it, man. Don't let anyone tell you can't do it. Go for it.
Fuck.
What's the worst that could happen, man? You don't make it, but man, you have a hell of a physique.
And you know, I think you're being a little humble. You also won your first fucking show as your first ever bodybuilding show, right? And you trained for what? I think I read like 3 or 4 months or something for it and won it. Like,
oh no, I mean, when I started training when I was 14 years old, but like, you know, not to be a bodybuilder. I mean, I was just training because I wanted to train because I liked the way bodybuilders looked. I never thought about doing a competition. And then I started going to university when I was 18 or 19. And that's the first time I ever went to a gym. And it was still a pretty small gym. And I met someone and they said, hey, man, you should do a show. I'm like, okay. I never knew what steroids were, none of that stuff. But like, I was naturally 240 and I was 20 years old. So I got pretty big naturally. And then I did my first show, and I tell people my first cycle and stuff like that. And I might have been like, it was so little. It's so funny. Like, I think I did 1 bottle of Winstrol and like 2 bottles of Test, and I weighed 230 on stage, and I won the show. And it just, I think it, you know, then I just got a taste for it. And I was like, man, I really like this. This is like, okay, I can do this. And I still didn't really know what I was doing, but it just worked out, man. And I didn't even diet that hard, man. I was dieting on, I never measured my food. I never put salt in my food. I never measured fats. None of that stuff. There was none of that. I just ate. I was like, okay, that looks like enough. And I just ate that much food. So it just happened, man. Even when I turned pro, same thing. There was no measuring my food. And that was my turn pro. It was my 3rd show. Yeah, same thing. I was just like, I got to the show. All I ate was steak and yams all day long. That's all I ate. And and I walked out on stage. And everyone freaked out. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not used to this. I don't know. Does this look good? It sounds kind of weird, but you just don't realize, right?
That is the definition of fucking free balling it, Frank. And I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, when you think of fucking hard work, add this motherfucker's name to the list, because I mean, I don't think there is too many harder workers than you, sir. I mean, it has been fucking honor and privilege. Now, before we go, I'm very interested. The floor is yours. Where can we find those social medias? What are you working on? I see you have a supplement line as well.
Yeah, you know, that's the one thing I say to people. You know what? My whole career, you know, I've been training for 30 years, and the good, the bad, everything that's happened to me happened for me for a reason. And I really believe that all that stuff is leading up to right now, what I'm doing right now. Why people like me because I had a good physique, you know, the forearms, the veins and stuff like that. But like you said, obviously, because you're overcoming stuff, and everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through a breakup, money problems, family problems, girlfriend problems, health problems. There's something, you know, we never know, right? And I feel all that stuff is why people gravitate towards me, because of all that stuff together. And I just never gave up. You know what I mean? I feel like I just don't have it in me to give up. Cause like, one thing is, my dad was my biggest fan, and he's passed away right now. And he told me one day, he said that I was living his dream to be because he wanted to be a bodybuilder. Yeah. So I was like, how can I not do this. You know what I mean? And plus, when you have other people who are dying, who don't even have the ability to do what I'm doing. Like, even if I got hurt, you know, I've hurt my arm before, and I'd go in, I just train the other arm. I do legs. I do whatever I can. Because I just look at other people. I'm like, man, like there's kids in the hospital right now that are dying of cancer or something. They'll never, ever get to do what I'm doing. So how can I complain? And because I got in a car accident and got hurt for a few months, and I'm able to continue, right? But I think it's all led up to what I'm doing now, which I'm very proud of. It's my own supplement line. It's called Wrath Performance. Check us out on Instagram. You know, it's growing pretty fast. But it's pretty new. And all I know is that everybody who tries my supplements, a lot of people who try my supplements are with other supplement companies. It's funny, and they go, man, this stuff is like the real deal. Because I know what it's like to be a consumer, to buy supplements and then, you know, and take it and not get anything. I told, even when we were making the supplements, I was talking to my guy who makes my formulas. I was like, listen, I don't want to cut no corners. I want nothing but the best ingredients, and I want strong fucking shit. You know what I mean? So I was like, I wanted it to be a reflection of me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the brand stands for everything that I've done in my whole career. You know, the hardcore bodybuilding, like, you know, I like my heavy metal, my the black and white, you know what I mean? Like, it's what I stand for, right? So check us out.
And you know what? First person to buy one of these pre-workouts, because I looked at the blend and it's fucking nice. First person to buy one of those pre-workouts, send me a screenshot. I will send you an autograph from one of the legendary guests we've had on the show. I mean, guys, if you want some of the best stuff, I mean, I personally am going to be getting some as well. I want to be like Frank, specifically this motherfucker's forearms. I'm going to start grinding on that. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, check out Frank's Instagram as well. I mean, you will not be disappointed with the motivation, the stories, just everything, the muscles. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, IFBB Pro Frank McGrath. Sir, it has been such an honor and privilege talking with you, man. A true hero, a true face of adversity, and a man who says what we need to hear. So, I mean, I think that has to be said. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, sir. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video. Until next time, Underdog and the fucking Beast out.